I am super excited to introduce my guest. He's a talent and literary manager and co-founder of Entertainment Lab. I want to welcome Sean Dubravac.
That is correct. That is me, the guy with a complicated last name.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Billy.
So I created this podcast to inspire artists to follow their dreams, right? If a kid like me could come out to Hollywood at 18 with $200 in my pocket, a one-way ticket, didn't know a soul out here, and make the dream a reality, then why can't the listener out there, right? And, for a guy like you, I mean, I'd like to go back to the beginning. Like, when did you know you wanted to be a talent manager, and how did that come to fruition?
I never knew that I wanted to become a talent manager. It actually happened by mistake. So I studied at UCLA International Development, which has nothing to do with the film and TV development. I studied how to help poor countries develop, because I'm originally from Serbia, and so I speak 4 languages, and that was my passion. I wanted to help poor countries, and I hoped that I could get a job at a United Nations maybe, or some NGO, but then I started going out to Hollywood and meeting all these cool actors and publicists and agents, producers, managers, and my business partner back then, still my best friend, and now my business partner as well, Matt Ilczuk. He was with me throughout, from the very, very beginning, and we actually met in college, and we needed to make money, right, to pay for college, to pay for our living. And so one of the ways we did it was we started throwing these events and parties for film premieres, rap parties, red carpets for any kind of fashion event, film event, mainly small indie movies, and small film festivals. And so we did that for like a year, I would say, and then we started adding also actors who were kind of our friends. We were going out with them together, and they were, some of them were like brand new series regulars on shows, or they were maybe major recurring guest stars on shows. They were just kind of breaking out at that time, so we signed them on, and we were their publicists. We kind of try to get them as many interviews, articles, gifting suites. We try to get them into events, red carpet gigs, anything possible. And we did that for like a year and a half. And back then we signed 2 of our actors with Paradigm Talent Agency. And one of the agents over there who was also our buddy. He told us, well, you guys are so aggressive and so skilled and proactive, and as publicists, you're not really supposed to, that's not a job to sign actors with an agency. I mean, you can, but they don't really do that. And so he says, you guys would probably be a better fit as managers. And we told him, wow, that sounds great. I always admired managers whenever I would meet them out and about. It's so cool. They actually, were able to do some tangible work for these actors when it comes to their careers, like bring actual opportunities their way, as opposed to just like media opportunities. That's just kind of how I viewed it, and how we viewed it, Matt and I. And then he told us, and then we told him, well, we don't know how to do managing of actors. And he said, well, just buy me lunch and I'll show you the basics and you'll take it from there. And that's what we did. We took him to Hotel Roosevelt in Hollywood, and he brought his actor buddy, I remember, with him, and we paid for his lunch, and he told us quite a bit about the industry, how we need to be, what we need to do, what are some main things as managers that we need to provide for our actors. And that's how Matt and I started. Yeah, so we weren't planning on it. We just kind of fell into it. But that's what I tell some of the interns or young staff that we have on our team. And mainly them, not the actors, because acting is a different world. But I tell them that they should definitely, if they like the entertainment industry, they should definitely try different fields within the entertainment industry. So maybe you start as a publicist, then end up as a producer. Maybe you start as an agent, end up in advertising. So there's like, there's casting also. So there's like 5, 6 categories in the entertainment industry that are very similar. And you can just bounce from one to another until you find yourself and find where you best fit. So that's how we ended up being managers. And we started with one actor. We signed the actor at Tender Greens. The first few actors, we had no office. And then slowly we just built it. And now we have 2 offices, one in LA, one in New York. Matt runs New York, I run LA. Multiple staff members, managers, great people we have right now on board. Finally, we have a great team. That's how I fell into it.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
You handle actors and writers?
Yes, and directors too.
Awesome. And I read somewhere that you package, deals with companies.
Yes. So we do our own packaging to the best of our abilities before we bring them over to the buyers, studios, networks, streamers, and sometimes also independent production companies. We work together with the writer, or if a director has brought a script, then we work together with the director as well to try to attach any star name actor, star name showrunner, if it's a TV series, or a star name director. Again, if the writer brought it and we don't have a director, just to kind of package to the max, whatever we can, right? And it's most of the time it's a shot in the dark, but we keep firing those shots, and that's kind of the game when you don't have money to put down for the project right away. So that's the way to go. That's at least how we do it.
Yeah, you got to keep taking those shots. All it needs is one to hit.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's awesome. So, as far as if I'm an actor and I'm looking for a manager, right? I mean, this is the reason why I wanted to have you as a guest is, I know I have the Manhattan Actor Studio here, and I have hundreds of actors that are always looking for representation. So if somebody was to reach out to you looking for representation, what is it that you look for?
Okay, great question. And that's, I really wish that the answer to this question was more obvious to other acting coaches over there and actors who are trying out to reach out to managers or agents. So what I love to see is a few headshots, not just one, a few, because the rule of the thumb is that if people don't recognize you at Tender Greens when you show up as an actor, if you're not getting straight up offers without auditioning, then you do need headshots. And in that case, you should probably have maybe 4, 6 headshots, maybe 8, if you can pull off more looks. You don't want to do too many. So yeah, we would love to see a few headshots in that email, a pitch from the actor, and then resume attached, an IMDb Pro link if possible. That would be great. Actors Access link if possible, great. And then Casting Networks link is also interesting to see, because I might see more photos over there. I might see more videos over there. I might see the actors' commercial bookings listed on there if they list them. Sometimes they don't. There's a theory there. And then finally, and a very important thing, I would love to see acting reels or acting clips or audition tapes. Just any moving image showcasing the acting quality of this actor. And not just one. I would love to see at a minimum 1-minute comedy, 1-minute drama. But 3 or 4 is perfectly fine, and I love that. I watch all of them. I might not watch the full length of a minute, because the moment I get the feeling of that actor in that scene and the pace, and I just kind of like, okay, this actor has got this, great. I move on to the next clip, but I need to see them. And then so 3 or 4 clips. You know what? I don't think you would want to add a 6, 8 more clips, because that kind of seems a little bit too desperate, maybe a little bit too thirsty, a little bit too, between 2 to 6, I would say max clips, that would be great. And if they title them properly, that's even more helpful. If it's a comedy, you can have a title of that short film that you took the clip out from, or the scene, just a scene that you can title the scene Joe and Jane, and you just put dash drama or dash comedy or dash dramedy or dash sci-fi scene, whatever, from a sci-fi project. So just something that's that gives a little bit of a introduction to what am I looking at right now. That's very helpful. And that's it. That's all we need. And don't forget, one of the little silly things that happens very frequently, actually, is that when actors move to Hollywood or whatever, LA or New York, or they start acting, they keep their old personal email, and then they have a new stage name. So the email says, john.riley@gmail.com, but that John has changed his name now to Jack Riley. So I'm confused who is emailing me, and how am I supposed to look this person up on IMDb, or is this the right person? So just try to, if possible, try to create one email specifically for acting purposes, and make it sound like your stage name. So there's no discrepancy between your stage name and your email. It's just easier. And then you can have an automatic signature in your email with your full stage name. Don't use the legal name, because it's of no use to a manager or agent. We address you with your stage name, by your stage name. So just your full stage name, and then you can enter your email, and maybe for some old school talent agents and managers, a phone number. Some people just like to call. I don't, but they might. You can also include an Instagram link or whatever, I don't know. I don't care for that, but maybe some commercial agents might care about that, because they just like to see the essence of the actor when they're out and about, and who are they naturally. So that's something that commercial agents care about, which I care about it too, just not as much. Yeah.
All right. So do you care about when those headshots, like having castability, like if they can play a cowboy, that they have something looking like a cowboy, or if they look like a cop, they can play a cop? Or do you want those pictures to really scream castability?
Yeah. So that's a little bit, I would say that's a little bit too much, in my opinion. I would stop right before then. So if you're playing a cowboy and that's something you really like and you think you're really good at it, just wear flannel. Just wear flannel for that specific look, because the flannel can also cover a rugged guy look. It can cover a farmer, a cowboy, outdoorsy guy for commercials or film and TV. So the flannel look covers 5 or 6 or more of those options. So I would say don't go to the costume part of the outfits. Stop at the flannel, suit, t-shirt, leather jacket. For men, that's great. I think those are great options for men. And then for women, again, t-shirt, they can do a flannel or denim for like maybe tomboy look, maybe more like, I don't know, blue collar, I guess, look. And then they can also do a blouse. They can do and then they can do also some type of a suit, like office look, collar shirt look. Just those 4 looks, if they can pull off, those 4 outfits cover quite a bit. And then of course every actor is different, so there can be some extra ones too.
Yeah. Now, do you recommend that they go out and shoot those professional headshots, or are they, if somebody's just starting out in the business, do they need to? Because I know a lot of times an actor will go to an agency, and then that agency will want them to shoot with their photographer because they like those photos. So, do you want to hold off on investing the money into getting those professional shots? Will something, these iPhone cameras are pretty amazing now. If you took some pictures like that, would that be sufficient for you?
Yeah, what I would prefer is that they talk to you, Billy, or the acting coach who they're working with, and have the acting coach discuss the branding. So have the acting coach help them in their acting class, or as a separate session, private session, help them with those 3 or 4 looks. and outfits. Really, really figure out exactly which shirt, because sometimes I'll ask for a flannel and I'll get a pink flannel. And I'm like, that's really that's really a niche. Like that's not covering 4 looks. That's just one look. So working with an acting coach would be great because they don't have a manager, right, or an agent at that time, and figure out those 3 or 4 exact outfits. Then shoot them with one of those, discount photographers. They're still out there. You can get photos for $200, $300. They're pretty decent because you want to present yourself as a professional already. So you got to fake it, right, in the beginning a little bit. And so when you attach those photos, if I see that they're like amateur photos and like, okay, well, this actor doesn't even want to spend $300 on their career. Why should I even consider, because how much do I make per hour? So that's how I calculate it, right? If they don't want to spend $300 on themselves, why should I spend an hour on them? It's not that harsh, but like it kind of just makes their email pitch look more amateur if they don't have professional photos, and it's a business. And if they believe in themselves, they should definitely spend $300 on those photos. And yes, some of the iPhone photos will look really good, but sometimes they don't. And also depends on who. Like if a professional photographer uses an iPhone, or maybe you or someone who is a photographer or editor or whatever, professional in the industry, if they use an iPhone, if I use an iPhone, I know I haven't done it much, but I think I could figure out the angles and the lighting and stuff. But you can't just use an iPhone and have their brother or sister or mom or friend take those photos, because we're going to have weird angles, weird shades, not good lighting. I can make a list of a lot of mistakes that could happen there with an iPhone. Yeah. So I would just say get an extra shift at a restaurant, or get an extra gig, side job, dog walking gig or whatever for a couple of weeks. Get those $200, $300, and I think it's really worth it. Yeah.
I mean, that's what I tell my actors all the time. Everything you put out there needs to scream professional. You can't have anything that says amateur, because those doors are going to close. Oh, that's this person's not professional. So
and you have 2 seconds.
Materials.
You got 2 seconds in front of an agent or manager. That's it. You got 2 seconds in that email.
Sure.
Yeah.
And when you put together that footage, your demo reel stuff, don't save the best for last. Make sure you have the best stuff up front, because they won't watch the 3 minutes. You want to hit them with your best work right out the gate, your castability right out the gate. You got to know what you're selling. I feel like, Hollywood is a business, and you're a product. And you have to know what your castability is and what you're selling to Hollywood, because that's what's going to get you in the door. Once you're in the door, then you can change their minds. You can, show them your castability. You can play other roles, but, you got to use whatever your gift is, that makes you special, your unique talent, that there's only one you. Highlight that, bring that in. I mean, I've had tons of guests here on the podcast. I'll give you Emilio Rivera. He's an actor. He plays the gang member, the cholo. He's got his own. He's got 3 TV series now. Mayans MC. He plays El Padrino, but he knew his niche. He knew what it was that got him into the door. He played those gang member parts, but he's played cops, he's played other roles, but it was the gang member that got him into the door. So just know your castability, know what you're selling to Hollywood.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes it's not easy. Sometimes it takes years to figure it out, but at least you're trying. Get there. Yeah.
So, when we had a conversation the other day, you mentioned that you wanted to see actors' self-tapes over demo reels sometimes, right? Because you want to see if they can actually deliver the product that it's your business, it's your reputation on the line. If you're having actors and they're creating crappy self-tapes that are, you can't hear them, and they're in a silhouette, they're in, they got the cat running in the background. I mean, that represents you too, because you're submitting that actor. Exactly. So what are your thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we check all of our actors' tape very frequently. My entire team does that. We kind of split the work there, and then we email all of our actors whenever there's something to be pointed out, something to be fixed, even minor things. It could just be, a wrong t-shirt color that just it blends into the background, or it could be the background that's very similar to the hair color, and then I don't know where the hair stops. I mean, I know my actor, but I could assume that a casting director would have issues like, is that long? Does she have long hair, or is it short? Where does it stop? The hair, like where? Anyways, so that we look at the sound quality. We look at the volume of the scene partner. Is it higher, much higher than the actor? If that's the case, that's not good. Like, I don't want to hear a too loud of a scene partner. That just takes away the attention from the actor. We look at so many elements. The video quality, the image quality. We look at the framing. Are you all the way in the back and I can't even see your facial lines, or are you too close, creepily close, right? So framing. We look at the pacing. Is your scene partner helping you with your pacing, or is the scene partner terrible and is ruining your pacing? Is your pacing in general good for this specific project? If you're doing Disney Nickelodeon, is it upbeat pace, or are you just doing a normal life pace acting, which is not good for that case? We also follow trends. I talk to casting directors as well, and I see the trends that have been changing in the past 3 years in the auditioning process, starting with COVID. Casting directors are kind of starting to go fast through these tapes. It just kind of becomes a thing because they have to watch these tapes so fast, and they don't have to apologize for themselves for, thank you so much, you can leave the room now. They don't have to do that anymore. So they just click on the next tape, and they're becoming faster in judging these actors, right? Assessing their acting quality. And because of that, I think the new wave is coming where the actors should pick up the pace a little bit. Because if they're too slow, if they're not entertaining, if they're really kind of like, dragging out the scene, and the scene partner is slow before they start their lines, it's just boring.
Yep.
And I can tell even though there might be a good pace for that movie because it's, I don't know, a drama, a slow burning drama, but still pick up that pace a little bit. That's what I would, for example, suggest. So there's a lot of these things that we take a look at when we analyze our actors' tapes, and then we give those suggestions to them.
Yeah, you definitely got to know what you're reading for. I mean, that's the first thing is like, what am I reading for? What is the show? Like you said, if it's a Nickelodeon, is a Nickelodeon style. If it's a 1 hour drama, if it's Criminal Minds, it's a talking head. There are different, it's a sitcom. You want to know, what am I reading for and how do I fit into that show? And I always tell my actors now is really make some big choices, previous circumstance coming into the scene. So, when that casting director sees it, there's stuff going on. It's not like you're saving and building it up towards the middle. I mean, you could lose them at hello if you don't even know how to slate your name properly, so. Yeah. It's really, creating a character, a rich character, making some big choices, out choicing the other actors. The casting directors think they know what they want, but it's your job as an actor to change their mind, to show them the character, make some choices. So that's what I do with my actors. And I teach, and this is my own personal opinion, I've never been a fan of the blue background. If I'm
blue is a little bit too bright and just like a bubble gum. Like, I don't.
Listen, maybe for a commercial, I would say that would work. But if I'm auditioning for, the Criminal Minds to play the serial killer, and I got a blue background, it's fake. Why don't you get a real gray wall?
Yeah,
looks like a real interrogation room, and keep it real. Don't put anything in the frame that's fake.
That's funny because I've been telling that to my actors, and I kind of apologize in advance because I'm like, I'm not sure if it's just me, but this bright green or bright blue background is just, it hurts my eyes. I don't know. It's just like, it looks so fake. It looks like you're an actor. You're like, come on, like, let's make this look as if you were in the scene. Of course, you don't have to do the whole production, but like you said, some earthy tones, perfect, and then of course make sure that those earthy tones don't match with your skin color and your hair color, because then it's not good. So every one of us has a different complexion, so try to find the background that works for you. Subtle colors.
Yeah, but I see. I'm the one. I say give them the performance. Be so good that when they're going clicking through those, wrinkled curtain guy with the script in his hands, poorly lit. They're going through, and then all of a sudden they land on you, and it's framed right, it's lit right. You got the wardrobe, you got the accent, whatever you're doing, you got the background. It just feels like. This feels real. Like I can take your footage and I can put it up there on my screen, and it doesn't take that much longer to, it's a small frame. So, you just have to fill the frame.
Exactly.
And fill it with stuff that's real and give them the performance. Perfect example. I built my school 9 years ago. So, I've been very busy here and I love teaching. And my agent, reached out to me, I don't know, January, and said, hey, there's a reoccurring character on General Hospital, it's, and I'm like, been there, done that. I did that show 20 years ago. I did a reoccurring character on the show. I did 20 something episodes. And he said, no, you should do this thing. And I was like, you know what? I was teaching a self-tape class, and I was filming the self-tape. So I said, I'm going to use this as an example. So I shot the self-tape while I was teaching the class, and I just sent that. And I got the part.
Wow.
So, because I know that works. Giving them, don't, have the wardrobe on, serve it up. So it's like yummy, yummy. That's good. Yeah.
Don't have to imagine too much.
Yeah. Don't leave anything to the imagination. You have to serve it up, especially because it's so fast paced. I have to see it. Boom. If you are auditioning for a cop, well, maybe you have that blue shirt on with the white T-shirt, that looks, you don't have to have the badge and the thing, but it's something that kind of has a feeling of a cop.
Yeah, exactly. The hairstyle too. You can't just like hair in a weird, messy way. That's not cops. Cops are tidy.
Sure. And then there's, the behavior of the character. How does the character behave? How do they stand? How do they walk? How do they talk? All that stuff.
Yeah.
Love that. So when you're looking for talent, where do you look? What are you looking for?
Well, because of the strikes, I have lowered the bar a little bit. I have more time. I don't know when these strikes are going to end. So recently, we have the past month, we have been looking for these gems who don't have credits but are talented, preferably younger, and trying to find some of these younger actors and kids too. But usually when the industry is up and running, we're looking for actors with recurring credits and up. That's kind of our goal for now, and we're trying to elevate that goal every, I would say, 2 years, just kind of to push ourselves, push our actors as well, to submit them for, get them minimum, let's say, recurring roles, or minimum guest star roles, or minimum recurring guest star roles. That will be kind of the trajectory that we're trying to go for the next few years. So yeah, recurring and up. That's what we're looking for. All kinds of, all ages, all ethnicities, all types. I really, some of these agents and managers, they have a specialty and passion towards, maybe only good-looking roster, or only females on their roster, or whatever. Like, I really don't have such a passion towards anything like that. I just appreciate a great actor, whether it's a 6-year-old kid who can be very talented, actually, and deliver the lines like no one else, or 85-year-old lady who's just amazing and has great credits, and I would sign her too. So yeah, I don't have any other specifications, just good credits. And also, I mean, of course, we take a look at our roster and we see, if we have too many people in that category, or if we know that it's really hard to sell that category, then we don't sign those actors, because it's oversaturated in certain areas. And then again, my experiences are different from other agents and managers' experiences. So that's always different. It depends. It changes from a person to person.
What about the literary department? I mean, if I'm a writer and I'm looking for representation, at what point do you think a writer needs to find representation?
If you're an actor, writer, director, find representation as soon as you can. There's no hurt in there. And if they sign you for a year, you're not going to be destroyed in a year. They can only help you, I think, But yeah, so for writers, as long as you have your first script written, a final draft, I don't want to see early drafts or something like that. I don't have time for that. Maybe some other managers do, and that's totally fine. And some managers also work differently than me. They build the writer, and they like to give a lot of notes to the writer. I don't have time for that because I also represent actors. So I only look for just a great script, and I will give the notes, very detailed notes, but because the script is great, those will just be minor notes, spelling, typos, maybe a couple of structural things, maybe fix the ending, some quick fixes like that, and then we're off to races. I don't want to work on the development, on the creative development of the script, like the writing part, for too much. I could do that. I just, it's because it's so hard. Sorry, my my things are popping up here. I gotta put it for an hour. Sorry, my apologies. My work Gmail is dinging. Because it's so hard to sell a script, and spending a lot of time on one script when it's not really ready, it's a waste of time on my end. So I have to choose wisely where I spend my time on. Yeah.
So this is my studio. I help actors. This is like I call it the actor's gym. It's the place to come work out. I tell my actors, learn how to write.
That's cool, actually. That's cool. That's a cool metaphor.
Because you want to work your talent. What muscle do you have to work on? And I believe that all actors should know how to write, because then you don't have to sit around and wait for the phone to ring. You can actually create your own project, your own short film, cast it. Turn the desk, be the producer. Hey, this is my script. You want to work on it with me? Be the casting director. Grab your power back, and it's you can create a product that really shows your star power, right? If I'm very comedic, or I have the ability to cry, or whatever, write to that, show that talent off. So, here I help develop, I've developed many shorts and films, and, we do table reads here, and I helped develop a couple of my actors are really, I'm working right now, helping them develop their 1-hour drama pilot. And one of them is it's amazing. I mean, it's so good, right? He's like, he's never written before, but he can write. I've read thousands of scripts, and when he comes to me with new pages, I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And it's a great story, and he's got his own voice, and it's a great idea for a show. So once his script is finished, right, and he wanted to, let's say, reach out to you, what would be the steps? What would he need to do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So just a very simple, short email introducing himself. And in that first 1 or 2 sentences, I would mention any big achievements from the writing career. If none, that's fine. Just say I'm a screenwriter in LA or New York, whatever. And then you go immediately to the log line, and then maybe one big paragraph synopsis, or if you feel like you need to, you can have 2 or 3 smaller paragraphs, I guess, but don't go too much in that first email. Sometimes, it's also an art, email pitching. You can also sometimes only include the log line and do not include a synopsis. If your log line is very powerful and very intriguing, and then you want them to email you back to ask for the synopsis or ask for the script. So, because the goal is for the manager or agent or producers to actually request the script. Never pitch the script right away, because legally, first of all, many of us have writers sign a release form before they send us the script, or send us the release form along with the script, signed and filled out, because we don't want to get sued if we end up producing in the future something that's maybe has some elements from it, and then we end up getting sued, and we really didn't steal anything from you. It's just like accident or whatever. So that's how many producers, agents, and managers are kind of covering themselves legally. So, and that's why they kind of get scared when they get a script right away. They immediately might email the writer back saying, "We haven't looked this. It went to we put this in our trash," and that way you kind of ruin your reputation as a writer with that company or whatever. Maybe they don't remember, but yeah. So the best is just to open up with a logline and synopsis. That's it, and state very clearly at the bottom of the email, please let me know if you would like me to send you the script. In some writers and even actors, they forget to state what they want from me. So they write a big email, and I'm trying to see what they want from me. I don't know. Are you just talking how successful you are, or like, are you sharing your life story with me? I don't know what you want from me. So yeah. So those three things would be great in an email, nothing else. Also, actually, one more thing, which is something that not many writers do, but I think it's a fun thing. They could include like a work in progress poster. I think all of us, or most of us, are able to use at this day and age Canva or PowerPoint or Photoshop or one of those tools to just create. Doesn't have to be an amazing poster, but just create a poster with some imagery that tells us about the tone of the show or the movie, and it just makes it look more legit, makes it look more real, and it just sparks the attention and inspiration by the manager, agent, or producer. I think it works well. So
very cool. For those listeners out there that don't know what a log line is, could you explain it to them?
Log line. So that's AKA elevator pitch. It's 1 to 2 sentences, sometimes 3, but I wouldn't push it to 3. 1 to 2 sentences that intrigue the potential agent, manager, producer. They create that intrigue in the script. So you have to tell me in 1 or 2 sentences something that will make me want to ask to read the script. And there's a whole technique, and there's a lot of kind of tricks that writers can include into their creation of the log line implement. So when creating a log line, you have to have that hook. You can't just describe what it is and that's it, and not cause any emotion in me. So you have to create some emotion in me with that log line, and there's a lot to it. And some of the great writers that I represent, they have awesome writing skills, great screenplays they've written, but their log lines are terrible, and it's an interesting thing. So I think as a screenwriter, that's definitely something. If I was a screenwriter, I would definitely spend time on learning and researching how to create great log lines.
With the writer's strike and the SAG-AFTRA strike going on, I know that it's only certain contracts. There is work out there for actors. They can still do commercial work or voiceover work, or certain projects. There's some do's and don'ts. How has it affected your business right now?
It has significantly affected our business. Our business is down to 30% of operations right now. And yes, you're right. I hope I won't be quoted, or I hope I'm right when I say this, but I think it's, as of right now, as of this date, these are the things that we can submit our actors for. It's commercials, micro budget, SAG-AFTRA waiver, indie projects, and then industrials, video games, some voiceover, some podcast, theater. yeah, I think those are the that's what's left that we can still get our actors booked on.
Can you talk about the waiver? I'm kind of confused around the waiver. You can get a waiver around.
Yeah, you can if you don't have any. As far as I know, if you don't have any connections with the buyers, with the AMPTP entities. So if you're an indie filmmaker.
Okay. So an indie filmmaker would have to go through SAG and say, listen, I have this film that I'm producing, but I'm not dealing with any of the truck companies. I'm not trying to sell it to them. I don't even know where it's going.
But that's the question. That's the trick right there, right? Like, if you make a movie or if you make a TV pilot, and if it's any good, you're hoping that AMPTP, one of those companies, will actually pick it up. And
it just doesn't make sense. I mean, if we're on strike, we're on strike. I don't think you should be able to be doing.
I don't know. Like, I see both sides of that coin, and I am in between. I don't know what the right thing is. Yeah.
So how many years you been in the game?
12.
Okay, so 12 years. Can you share some of your success stories in the business?
Success stories, yes. I'm not sure if any of the viewers have watched Andy Mack on Disney. It's a show that ran for 4 years. Peyton Elizabeth Lee, we put her in that role. And then she went with a bigger manager later on, as it happens sometimes. So she's one, and then Matty Carter-Ropel, he's one of our top actors. He's on all kinds of TV shows and movies, big studio films. He just did SpongeBob. And then we have Christine Horn. She's on a new Netflix series called Classified, a series regular. Before that, she booked 1 or 2 series regular roles in the past year, but one of them didn't go through, whatever. So yeah, she's doing really well, and we actually incentivize her to come here from Atlanta, and she has been doing really well right now. And we're submitting her on both coasts, so New York and LA. We had multiple options when it comes to our writers, multiple options, a couple of sales. Nothing big, nothing major yet. If it were to happen, that would be life-changing, but nothing big yet, unfortunately. And then with directors, mainly when it comes to directors, we get them those smaller films, indie films, Lifetime type films, movies, nothing big. But then again, none of our directors are names. They're not big names, so it is hard to get them any big TV show directing jobs or any especially studio film directing jobs. So the level of the game in the directing world is just those independent films and movies of the week, I would say. And then a bunch of meetings, though. We get our writers and directors a lot of general meetings, a lot of script reading requests, from producers to read a script. But it's just so hard. It's just so hard to get any big thing sold or get a big job. It's very competitive. And as we all know, the top agencies, top management companies, they kind of have a very strong foothold in power when it comes to deciding who gets the directing job or which script gets picked up, because all of these big writers are if you have a big writer and you have a beginner level writer who just came out, the person might be great, she might be a great writer, but then there's another lady who's been sold 3 blockbusters already, and they're most likely going to take her film into consideration. And that's just my theory. It's just I'm licking my wounds. That's just my theory as to why we haven't sold anything big yet, even though we have been I feel like we have delivered the scripts and showcased our writers and directors to so many studio executives, streamer network executives, pods, production overall deal companies, the production companies that are on the lots. A lot of those meetings, but nothing major yet in that area,
Well, I
unfortunately.
love that you put yet, because that's what it's all about. It's
Yeah.
the very next one. That's the beauty of what we do in this business, is the
Yeah.
very next audition, the very next meeting could be a yes.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
you got to get through the no's. I believe every no brings you closer to a yes. So go get some no's.
Yeah. Yeah.
Keep
Yeah.
banging on the door. I mean, it's like I tell the story when I came out to Hollywood, at 18 with $200 in my pocket, a one-way ticket. I was like, that $200 ran out real fast. And I said, I got to find an agent, and I didn't have anything. I didn't have pictures, nothing. This is back in 1984. There was no cell phones. There was no GPS. I had a map and, a bus. And I literally went banging door to door. I had a Academy Players directory with I went through the A's and the B's and literally knocking on doors, and the doors slammed in my face. Get lost. No, yeah, no. And then I kept banging. I went through the A's, B's, C's, D's. Finally, I found an agent at Y, the Yenez Talent Agency. Okay. I had to go through all the alphabet to get to the one yes. And the one yes got me my first audition for a guest star on a TV series called The Fall Guy. I went in there, I got that part, I got my SAG card, I got Taft-Hartley, and the rest is history. But it's about having that passion and keep knocking on those doors and never give up, because it's that very next door could be the one that says yes.
Yeah. That's what I tell my actors, writers, and directors. You got to keep pushing, But then sometimes, I got to say this, like sometimes in the actor's life or writers and directors' life, and even in our lives, if you feel like, you've done everything you could, and it's been so many years, and it's just like, and you kind of lose passion towards something, hey, give it a break. Take a break, a month or two, or maybe a year. And I've had actors do that, and they come back with full force. They got back rejuvenated, because sometimes you get lost. So it's really tough on the soul, getting rejected so often. And I know this because I get rejected. I represent projects, I represent actors, artists, and I get rejected a lot. It's not me personally, but my client is rejected. And it happens. And so, and artists are especially get affected because artists are. It happens in their face, like someone does not like your performance, or you're not the right fit for this, and it just takes a big toll. And you need sometimes a space, and maybe in that month or two, maybe you reinvent yourself and you change your career path and pivot and become an agent or become a manager or whatever, or completely change the industry. That's why I don't want to be selfish. Of course, I want all my actors to stay actors. I want them all to be my clients, but I don't want them to be unhappy people either. If they feel like that they have lost every single ounce of passion towards this business, if they became so jaded, go do something else. See if anything else interests you or whatever. You might come back. And most of them do come back. And then a couple of them didn't, a few of them didn't, and they went on and did other things, and they're successful in the other industries. But just make yourself useful, I guess, to the society. Like, can the society appreciate you, what you're doing, whether you're an acting coach or a manager or an actor? Does the society have any use of you? And if you feel like you're useful, you're getting a job here, you're getting a job there, great, stay and do it. But if you keep getting tons of rejections over and over again, and there's barely any victories, then let's reassess. Let's change things. Let's change things up. Yeah.
What do you find rewarding about being a talent manager?
First of all, of course I care about results, but I just like doing it. It's one of those things where if and I actually did work at a bank before. I worked at a bank, and it was okay. It wasn't bad. I liked it. It was fine. But I always, I would always look at my phone and see what kind of events were happening, red carpets. I was just, fascinated by that whole world of actors and writers, directors, publicists, everything. So I have passion towards it. So just being in this business is good enough for me. If I can pay my mortgage, car payments and put food on the table, great. Like, I'll keep doing it. And then, of course, if every time one of my actors books a series regular role, that's huge. Every time one of my kid actors, for example, books a recurring role, that's awesome. I'm happy. So any of those success stories, anytime I option one of my writer's scripts, every time my director books a small TV series, for example, a few months ago, that was great. It was her first TV series. It was like an independent TV series by an independent studio, but it was still cool because she got to direct 2 seasons of it. Stasha Crawford, that's the director's name. And that was awesome. So any of those stories that just add more fuel to the fire in me. And then also being surrounded by the artists and entertainment lawyers, producers, directors. I just love that world. I feel like I fit in well. People understand me well. Yeah, so just being part of that world is also one big thing for me. Yeah.
Awesome. Last question. If you could go back in time and give the little you some life advice, what would it be?
Oh, that's a good question. To start investing in real estate as early as I could. But other than that, let's see, career-wise.
Well, not career or life advice.
Life-wise, I've had a pretty great life so far. Knock on wood, thank the universe. I've had a pretty good life. I don't think I would have taken. Yeah, I really can't think of anything that would have drastically improved my life or something. I can't think of any. And then career-wise, trying to think something career-wise. I did make some mistakes in my career when we hired some wrong managers, wrong assistants, and stuff like that just weren't the right fit. But I think that's just growing pains. You just have to learn. I wouldn't have learned otherwise. Right now, when I'm interviewing new staff members for a company, I can kind of tell like who's going to be a good fit and who isn't. But that's only because I made mistakes. So then again, without mistakes, you can't really advance that much. Nothing really. I don't want to sound too pompous or whatever, but I really haven't made that many big mistakes in life. Because I've always taken myself very seriously, and I would think most of my life moves and career moves were really thought out. So, and I did my best most of the time. I guess, now that I'm talking about it, that is one of the problems. I have actually ruined my health by being trying to be a perfectionist. And that's sometimes, there we go. So that's one thing that's between a life and a career. It impacted both. So just trying to be too perfect is not good. I learned that B+ is good enough sometimes. You don't always have to get an A. And just sometimes just taking it easy, letting the universe take you for a ride. Sometimes you don't have to control everything. That's something I wish I'd learned earlier. I would have saved my adrenal stress issues. I would have saved my health that way. And drinking more water. There we go. Drinking more water. I wish I'd known that, because I don't feel like I'm thirsty, but my body says otherwise. So drink that water if you live in LA.
Great advice. Hey, Sean, I can't thank you enough for jumping on and sharing your wisdom and knowledge on the podcast.
Thank you, Billy. It was a pleasure, and I hope to get some more great actors from you, and maybe a writer or two.
They're coming your way.
Awesome.
All right.
Have a good week.
Take care.